You know, when I express my opinions and thoughts on here, I'll admit I may come from a place of naivety. It's only living all these years and now being an older man that gives me reason to say, hey, maybe I've learned along the way even if it came late. And I still make those mistakes, like everybody does, doesn't matter how old you are. But you start out as a late bloomer in life. You know, it usually sends you down a road of tough sledding. And that's what shapes you. It's what you do early on, the choices you make. But, you know, that's life. I remember I went to college when I went away to school. You know, every young man's dream to get away from home and go out in college life and, you know, live it up and hopefully learn along the way just enough to get a degree to get you a good paying job afterward. I chose the route that I was going to have a good time because I felt that I owed it to myself. But I brought a lot of baggage, and that baggage was really green. I mean, when I was signing up for my classes for the first semester, for the fall semester, I think even the spring semester, I told my roommate, you know, this guy's staff, he teaches a lot of classes. I mean, every other class that I'm thinking of taking, he's teaching it. You know, Miller, Jones, staff, Gonzalez, staff. Yeah, he pulled me aside. Yeah, he explained it to me. Yeah. So, you know, that's how I started. I remember the first student union dance in the fall semester. I'd gather up a few guys that I met, a roommate. We headed down to student union, and playing some music, girls, sitting at a table, and I was scared. I never drank before. You know, I thought you drink a beer and the next thing is cocaine, and then after cocaine it's crack, and you know, and on down the line. I said, no, I thought that was a progression. So I said, well, you know, I was scared to drink my first beer, so they said, well, it's just a beer, why don't you drink a beer? I said, how do I get out of this? I told them I was allergic to beer. You're allergic to beer? In what way are you allergic to beer? Of course, now I would say it's probably the, you know, the wheat in it or whatever, the barley or whatever. I have a barley reaction. A barley reaction. Or a garlic reaction. But, you know, I stuck with, I have beer allergies. Yeah, they knew something was wrong right then and there. Well, my roommate already knew after, you know, I thought that Professor Staff was going to teach every class. But it went on. You learn. You live and learn. You stumble. And, you know, you make the best of it. Only problem is that I think I just kept making the same little mistakes. Naivety can be a tough thing, especially if people notice it. I had a marketing class with kind of a dorky professor. A nice guy. He gave true and false quizzes. It was all the time. Every quiz, every exam was always true or false. And I didn't like to study. You know, I was having a good time. I studied late at night. I started studying at 3 in the morning for a class at 9 o'clock, and you know, I'd walk in half asleep and 2 hours of cramming. But I devised a plan. I said, it's a true and false test. I'm just going to answer either all true or all false. So I took the test and I bubbled in true on all the questions. It's like 50 questions usually. So a couple of days later, we get our test back. He's passing them out, and he's laughing while passing out the tests, the exams, the grades. He said, one of your classmates thought that if they answered everything in one way, like, you know, that everything was true, you know, you could get by because with the curve, if you get a 50, you're going to get a 70, you get yourself a C. That was my goal. The old curve. Remember the old curve? I lived by the curve. In fact, if you stop and think about it, I kind of always lived life hoping there's a curve. If I only do so much, if I only get by with being a little behind, unaware, you know, life is always going to, something's going to happen, something's going to come through for me. And I learned it's not the way it works. There's no curves in life. You got to go through those bumps on the road. But you know, that's where you get started. I was rooming with these 4 guys. I was a junior at the time. Struggling through school, get by, have a little fun. But, you know, that's when it starts getting serious, where you really got to start, you know, or you'll be there forever. You know, I was rooming with these 4 guys one time. I had a lot of roommates. We lived in a 2-room apartment. And we would take turns. We'd go out grocery shopping. We'd take turns cooking. And we'd clean as best as 4 young men can clean. So one morning, we all woke up at whatever time it was, sometimes after a late night of drinking or whatever. We looked at each other. Something smells. And of course, you know, we all pointed at each other and, okay, who did it? That went to, okay, who left their dirty clothes thrown somewhere under a bed and something smells? I said, oh, go away. Next day, the smell was worse. We said, okay, no messing around. Who did what and where? Because this smell's getting worse. And we just blew it off, went to class, did all the things we did, came back at whatever time. Everybody come in at all different kinds of times, and there'd always be somebody's turn to cook. Usually we'd make 2 things. Roast chicken. It was always roast chicken. It was somebody's turn to make a roast chicken. Or potato and egg tacos. That used to be our dinner. One or the other. I think that's all we need. Or shake and bake. Shake and bake pork chops. Oh yeah. That was when shake and bake was big. I tried shake and bake the other day for nostalgic reasons. No wonder I had a hard time in college. Because it just wasn't very good. But anyway. So it's about like the 3rd day of this. And then I was wanting to cook. in the apartment. It's like, it stinks. But we're busy. We're busy with classes, busy with just being young men. We complain about it, but, I think it was about the 4th day. Woke up late. I don't think we had classes that day. We're going to, I don't know what it was. I think it was a weekend. And we looked at each other and we said, this is really getting out of hand, and we don't want to eat here anymore. It stinks so much that let's just go out and eat somewhere. It costs money to go out and eat, so we tried to eat there at the apartment, but we said, no, let's go to Pizza Hut and eat some pizza or something. Let's get out of here. So, got ready. 4 of us. A lot of times it's not the 4 of us because everybody's doing something different. Maybe the 4 of us, but I think it was a weekend. So we're leaving the apartment, locking it up. And down the hall, a couple of our buddies that lived in an apartment down, a few doors down, we're walking down. They said, hey, what are you dudes doing? I have to say that very slowly because, try to say that fast. And we're like, oh, nothing, man. We're going to go out and eat. Stinks in our apartment. We're going to cook something, but we just have to get the hell out of there. It's been like 3-4 days of this stink in there, and so these 2 guys are like, what do you think it is? And we don't know. Well, and I said, I said, well, it keeps getting worse? Yeah, it keeps getting worse. So we're all standing around in a circle outside in the parking lot, talking like guys do. So one of these guys, one of those guys, one of our buddies from down the few doors down, he says, well, you know what you got there, right? It's a rat. Y'all got yourself a rat. His roommate said, yeah, man. You guys got yourself a rat in there. That's the problem. Then one of my roommates said, that's it? Why didn't we think of that? It's a rat. It has to be a rat. A second roommate said, of course, that's what it is. Why didn't we think of that? It's a rat. We got a rat in the apartment. Third roommate said, yeah, that's what it is. It's a rat. Why didn't we think of that? All this time, and we got ourselves a rat. Well, now it's down to me. I'll be part of the group. One of the guys. And I said, well, it's my turn. This is where I come in. One of the guys. So I said, yep. It's a rat. That's what we got. We got ourselves a rat. All this time we got ourselves a rat. That's what it is. But I couldn't stop there. I had to add. I guess that's where I started to evolve into someone who needs to share his opinions, needs to say more than really people want to hear. It all began there. So I added, so do you think it's alive? There's a dead silence. Here's 6 guys in the parking lot standing around in a circle. Nobody said anything for about 10 seconds. And then one of my roommates, a real funny guy. Most people that are funny can say something and they don't mean it to be a joke, or they don't laugh when they say it. Ever heard somebody saying something funny but they're laughing at their own jokes or their own whatever they say? This guy was funny because he'd say stuff and he didn't know he was funny. But he was always funny. Finally, after 10 seconds, this guy looks at me and says, without laughing, without smiling, just matter-of-factly says, "Yeah, man, it's alive. It's running around the apartment looking for your deodorant." As I recall, I still didn't get it. And then we went to go eat. Oh, those two guys, they went with us. We all ate pizza at Pizza Hut. And somehow, one day, I got married and had children. What do you think of that? That's all I got.